Alright, it's been a while since I've put up a video. I've been going through some stuff mentally, plus I've been just tinkering. I haven't really been, I don't know, I haven't been feeling well lately in my head, but I'm starting to get happier and all because, well, things are finally working out. Thanks to a really nice person who helped me to get another bike as a donor for parts. I rode it a little bit, but until I came to the point where I had to take parts off of that made it non-functional. So let's get to the point. So after my last video, the moped was relatively in good shape, right? The whole back bearing and all 3 spokes broke. And that wheel is over here on this one because I put the back wheel on this one while I was working on making the front wheel from this one work on the back of that one because it has a hub, a disc brake hub, which works great for the sprocket, so I don't have to worry about breaking spokes again. So yeah, this is broken spokes, missing spokes, worn out bearings like that. I made a video on that before. Like I had to modify the bearing pack to get it to not wobble as much and pop the chain. And so I used that. Another guy with a bicycle here, he was really nice. He helped me out and got me some welding rods. I'm still too ornery to reconfigure my batteries to weld. I have enough batteries to weld everything that I need to weld, but I have to get into my system and rewire them in series instead of parallel. I'm just too ornery for that, so I did all a bolt-on solution for now. I did my best. Seems to be pretty good. So I gave him the seat because he was nice enough to go buy me some welding rods. I think he said he spent like $8, and it was a used, pretty good seat, but it was kind of used and worn out. So I give him that. And as you can see, part of this frame is missing. And if you caught just a second ago, if you paid attention, you see why. There's why part of the frame is missing. It's over here now. And as I said, I did bolt-on solution. This is aluminum, this is steel, so either way, if I was using this, I have to do bolt-on anyways. But I would have did a better job if I had a welder. I would have made, or if I reconfigured my batteries, I would have made a better clamp setup rather than this. Like it's just a bar that goes underneath and is bent around and that's bolted on. These bolts here are salvaged from a chair. Just a wooden chair that, in the 4 corners where the legs are held on. It is what it is. Same thing with the bolts that hold the pegs on. Yeah, I have to turn the pegs since I don't like pedaling this thing anyways. It sucks to pedal. It was a fixed gear. And I just didn't want to fool with trying to, because I can't pedal it with this wheel anyways. So I just didn't want to fool with it. I can put it back in the future. I'll save the parts. Not really, I don't care. But I want to switch out these bolts eventually because these are the factory ones, the aluminum ones that held the disc brake on. They're okay, but I want to take it easy. I'll switch them out with sturdier bolts, maybe even if I can get in behind there and get a nut on them too, I will. Right now they're just going into the threaded part of the hub. It seems to be working, it's good. Especially with the smaller sprocket, there's less torque on the hub. Because, less power with the smaller sprocket. More speed though. So I can, where this has this bolt-on pattern, the other sprocket can't bolt onto the hub, but it can just bolt onto this sprocket as an adapter. So I could literally, I just have to change the spacing, just move the engine and stuff over, maybe take out these little spacers I made for the axle here, and I can use the bigger sprocket if I wanted to, but I don't want to because these are aluminum nuts and I don't want too much torque on those. Because I can use this sprocket as an adapter to attach to this. Maybe in the future, because I do want my torque back eventually. But maybe in the future when I get better nuts and bolts for the hub there. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this brake took me a while to get figured out. I thought about this for like 2 days. Just sat and thought before I finally, it's down here because obviously I can't put it up there. No matter what I wanted to do, it can't go up there. And I cut off the original little tab so I could scoot this tensioner on back further. One of my problems, I've got my new engine mount made. I would rather weld it together, but it's all bolted. It's bolted pretty well and designed pretty well. Engine's still adjustable in the same way it was factory. Now, I don't have all the holes drilled to adjust it, so just drill them as you need, Just self-tapping screws is all I'm using. plenty strong enough. I got 4 of them on each side, so, and then heavy duty bolts holding the whole setup together. Now, the first problem I was having, I took it to Walmart and back, and I noticed the chain popped off a couple times, and I had to put it back on. Just easy, you know, not that hard to do by hand. But it was because I was dropping. My whole, you know, engine right here was dropping. It's still nice and tight, but it was dropping. As you can see, it's trying to drop again, but it can't really until it shears the head of this bolt off. It's a self-tapping bolt, or screw, whatever you want to call it, heavy duty one. A good one anyways. So it could, I mean, I put it in an angle. It didn't bend that at that angle. I put it in at that angle. Just because, you know, getting around the tire and all that stuff with the drill. So, seems to be fine. I'll keep my eye on it. Chain, all way better than it used to be. Tension. So I'll keep my eye on it. If that ends up being a problem, I'll run a through bolt. I'm not sure if that's even through the seat bar or not. The seat's in a good position. I don't need to change the position of it anyways. So, but yeah. So that was an issue because it kept dropping down on the back one only, which slacked the chain, which feels like it I see a bit of a raw spot there. Looks like it might have dropped down about an 1/8 of an inch. It very well could have. Yeah, might be another thing I got to figure out. Maybe put 2 bolts in it, one from the other side at the same angle. Might be a little stronger. Either way. And so here's my brakes. I mean, they're hooked up the way they're supposed to be, except for that little bend. I couldn't find it at the time. And also, the other bike had like the split housings, like, you know, where it had exposed cable. Well, that wouldn't work for this bike, so I took this housing that was for like an automotive cable, like heavy duty big cable, which I wanted to use. It's over here. But it just doesn't slide easy enough in it, and I couldn't get it to work. It's a heavy duty cable. I was working on it. I cut it all down, cut it apart. Like, I was working out, and then it just wouldn't slide easy enough through its own housing. So I got a smaller cable going through the housing now. It's a solid housing instead of a split housing like was on the mountain bike. So it works out good now. No big deal. And I didn't have to take the handbrake things off of that bike. I already had a couple of them just extra in my toolbox from, from another bike I had. Found abandoned at a city park last year. Nobody claimed it. I even called the number to report like abandoned vehicles and stuff in the town. They said leave it alone. They'll come put a tag on it and give people so many days to come pick it up. Well, they said they were going to come put a tag on it that day or the next day, and 5 days later they never come put a tag on it. So I just grabbed it. It was laying in the bushes, had bad bearings on the pedals. It was a messed up little BMX bike. Some kid broke it. Wasn't no good, so I kept it. Kind of tightened the bearings. Rode it a little bit, but the bearings were bad, so it kept messing up. You had to keep fooling with the bearings. So eventually I just took it apart for parts and threw it away. But yeah. And so, same stuff the engine plate is made out of. I made this peg holder. I was going to use a round pipe. Didn't have anything that fit the hole good. But I just wrote it a minute ago. This holds up good. I don't know if I'd trust it for too much. Also, temporarily, I'm using wood screws into metal. There's no wood underneath to hold the pegs on. Well, it used to be the pedals. I took the axle out of the pedals and everything to get that. Eventually, that'll be bolted. I don't have long enough. I'll have to buy some more at Walmart. I need to measure how long it needs to be and get the right bolts. Not a big deal. Maybe I need to get some for here too, because I don't like, these are them out of the chair, and I cut them down at the bottom. And the bolts that are in them, or the nuts that are in them, is like twisted into the chair, right? Like, and so you have to cut the wood apart to get them out and shit, or whatever. So that's the nuts for them right now, because I didn't have actual nuts to fit it. And I don't trust that. That's like bronze or brass or something, and it crack and break easy. So eventually I want to replace that too. And that's the same thing on this. So I do want to replace that. I mean, these ones are better. These look similar to what's on the bottom of this, but they're different. These were already shorter. I didn't have to cut them, and they had a much stronger looking nut thing. And so I don't think I have to replace those, actually. Now this one has the crappy one. The one that seems like it's going to crack and break easy. Yeah, 3 points of contact holding it on the frame, so I think it's good. Took a minute to dial in the brakes. They're pretty much like almost touching, like barely get a sheet of paper through there on both sides. I mean, I'm sure they rub a little bit, but I mean, with the way this thing goes and everything, I gotta have it right on it. Otherwise, you pull it all the way to the handlebar. I tested it with it a little loose, you know, like you would on a normal bike with it a little off of it, so it's not rubbing at all. And it's just, you had to pretty much bottom out the brake just to hit the brakes, you know. I mean, it's an engine that goes pretty fast, especially with this. Got to have adequate brake power, so I had to tighten them up pretty good. Not a big deal. Now, yeah, I know they're supposed to have this elbow here, but it's been working great without it. I know it could potentially, no, it's too tight. It can't slip out of there. But yeah, it's been doing good. The housing's way too big for it, so the cable slips in and out of it easily. It's not like it's binding up or anything. And I made sure to put this on there because that actually helps. That little rubber bit, it works like a spring. I was going to put a spring in there. I have other springs about the right size, but then I remembered that, and it works just fine to help it, like, to spread apart a little bit, because these springs, you know, they need a little help. But yeah, not bad, you know. I mean, basically those horseshoe clamp brakes out of the frame is pretty much what I did. I mean, if I had a welder or something, I would have welded a plate across here and just bolted it on here, and probably hose clamped it on up here. Like, cut this flat on the bottom so that it sits on the frame better, and then hose clamped it up here, and then bolted it right here like a normal, and that probably been all right. I don't want to rewire my batteries right yet. Probably won't never do it. I'll probably end up getting some old car batteries eventually and just have them dedicated for welding. That way when they wear out, they wear out. It's not my main system. Either that or just buy a welder. My system can handle running a welder for short periods of time. It's just the same as if I was welding normally with my batteries, with just the jumper cables, or not jumper cables. I have way thicker gauge wire than jumper cables that I was going to use to weld with. I think it's 2 gauge or something like that. I can't remember. Somebody bought it at Lowe's. They were making a heavy duty set of jumper cables, and they gave them to me, and they were kind of worn out, so I cut them apart, and I've been using the wire for other things. But yeah, and the muffler is doing way better. I thought I was going to have to replace that more often, that temporary gasket. It ain't leaked a lick since then, since I put it on. Just got to make sure to have a hose clamp down some sort of something to hold the muffler down here just to keep it from rattling, because then it can rattle loose up there. So this is on there, and it does pretty good. Just a regular hose clamp. Came with my diesel heater. I never did use all the accessories with the diesel heater, like the plumbing parts or whatever for the ductwork. I never used all that. So just okay. I might have a new neighbor. I had to stop a minute. They was wanting some information about the campground and stuff that I'm at. Friendly people. What a person is, just someone by themselves. But yeah, anyways, muffler does great, all that. I had to tighten up this. It's just leaning on a rock right now. It's hard to keep it standing on the kickstand out here in the desert. It sinks in, and eventually I'll weld on or make a fatter plate for that. But anyways, so the belt drive here, it's not a torque converter. I wish it was. They're rare. They don't make them anymore, but you can get little pit bike, those little kiddie racing motorcycles. They make a torque converter, like an actual expanding pulleys and contracting pulleys and shit. They make a torque converter for those little Honda, pit bikes. I think it's Honda. I don't think they make them anymore. It's hard to find where to buy one or anything like that. And you can't, like, even if you did want to adapt, like put spaces and stuff and make a 212 torque converter for one of these, the spring ratios and all that wrong. This thing just ain't got the power for that kind of torque converter. So that's why I'd rather have a torque converter that's made for these little engines. They just bolt right up to them. They don't really make ones, not that great. So you just got to go on, you know, changing out gears and stuff, sprockets. But this is a belt drive. I like the one I bought because it comes with a huge, as you can see, it's a huge pulley here, down to a little bitty pulley, and that gives you plenty of torque right off the bat. That's why they come with the bigger sprocket, give you way more. This thing will crawl right off the wheel when it's got the big sprocket on it. And it's got the little bitty sprocket right over here. I ain't counting these. I have no clue. I didn't pay attention to all that when I bought it. But yeah. So I had to tighten that pulley up. It's about to fall off. That's something I got to keep my eye on, you know. Maybe put some spray paint, take the bolt all the way up, put some spray paint on the thread, throw it back in. I've got a few cans of spray paint. Poor man's Loctite. Don't forget it. It works great, you know. And I think I mentioned it in a video before. I added this. This is just one spring, kind of bent over. It was actually longer. It was twice as long, obviously. And that gives me double spring power. Yeah, for the return. And ever since I did that, I haven't had any issues out of the throttle. Oh yeah. So the fuel tank, when I had to take it all apart and everything, the hose is a little too short to put the fuel tank back the way I had it, so now it's just kind of sitting there. I am going to replace that with this. It's the same size. Well, inside it holds a half gallon, that holds a half gallon. I already popped the bottom off because it's like double lined, so I just need the bottom part to get to the inner lining so I could drill. I'm going to attempt, well, not attempt, I know I can do it, it's going to be a quick thing. I need to drill the little hole, take that petcock off there, make sure it goes in that hole nice and snug, and then very carefully drain all the gas out of that, fill it full of water, sand, whatever I got to do, so that I can grind off the threaded part that the petcock threads in, and then drop it down in there and, you know, have fun trying to get it to sit on the threads and do all that. It'd take a minute to get it to hold on. Might have to do something funny to get it to do it, but yeah, that's no big deal because I think there's already a gasket, a little rubber ring or something on the petcock, which would be on the outside of this, just like it's on the outside of that. So just shove that threaded bit on the inside of here, and then put the petcock through with the gasket on the outside. Should be fine. I'm going to try and put it towards the edge here somewhere on the flat bit there, so that way I can have it in the middle of the basket with the petcock coming out right down here, and that way it'll work pretty good and it'll be a little prettier. I already got a hole drilled in the top. Need to find another piece of hose to attach to that or something so I can have it won't be venting right in my face, you know. But that's not a necessary right now. I mean, I'll get to it later at some point. I'm just happy I finally got it back going. And yeah, I never got to bolt on the basket the way I wanted. All the bolts that I bought for that wound up going towards the engine mount. So yeah, I got to get more bolts. Bolts are not cheap. They can be, but buying them in the mass, they're expensive for good heavy-duty bolts. So yeah. I'm going to strip this frame for everything I might need in the future. Chain, shocks, derailleur, pedals. I don't need the crank arms. I got a set of crank arms in my toolbox. Steel ones, not aluminum. Good ones. I'm probably going to cut this off, because this might be a good, whenever I go to build my trolling motor out of my old drill and an angle grinder gearbox and all that stuff, this might be a good transom mount thing that I can make a transom mount out of this. Well, maybe not a transom mount per se, but to steer that damn thing and all that stuff. I could probably attach it all to this. So just cut this off, take handlebars off to where it's just a pivoting part, no wheel on it or nothing, and have that for a while, and that'll be a good mount thing for my trolling motor when I go to do it. Got a little cup holder on it. I like how that cup holder attaches U-bolts right center of the handlebars. That's pretty neat. Oh yeah, and it's got these, which I'm going to take off and keep. Those are nice. I might put them on my bike somewhere. Not to hold with my hands, but like maybe as additional pegs that stick out, you know, back here or something somewhere, or up there maybe. This bar's too big around for them, I think, but could put them up there, somewhere to put my feet extra so they're not always down there. I don't know. Lots of thoughts going through my head. Oh, and I'm definitely saving that disc brake caliper, because I do want to eventually put disc brake on this. No, I don't want no front brake. Screw that. I don't want to die. So eventually I want to get, I don't know if they make them, but I want to get a hub that has this kind of mount on both sides. That'd be nice. I don't know how to figure all that out, but that would be really nice to be able to have disc brake on the other side and the chain right here. I can easily figure out how to mount the caliper. That's not a big deal. Yeah, my tools are everywhere. There's little tiny stuff that I'm gonna have to go through real close, just staring, walking and crawling slowly to pick everything up. I am a mess. My awning's gone. I give it away. Paid a lot of money for that awning and the poles to go with it and everything. It made me mad. That's one of the reasons I've been in a bad mood, and I got real depressed and shit because of the awning. But oh well, I'll figure something else out. I'm about to have to go for a water run eventually. Not with the moped. That little sprocket that's on it just ain't got the torque to pull 5 gallons in the back. The big sprocket I did. I pulled that. I brought that with me. That little that one there. I've got the capacity to hold 25 gallons, I think, right now. I think. Let me see. 15. Yeah, 25. And so I want to get another one of those so I can hold 30. Wait, now I do have the capacity to hold 30. Someone just give me that. It's kind of messed up. I got to fix it. It's just this. I got to plastic weld the top and make a little cork thing. And no biggie. And clean it out. They said they put non-potable water in here and stuff. But yeah, I just got to clean it out and fix the lid there. So yeah, this actually holds 6, not 5. So 31 gallons. So yeah, now I don't need to buy one. I think I can take that into Walmart and fill it just like I would those, if it'll fit under the thing. If not, that's no biggie. I can fill it with that little portable pump I've got there, and then just have that one filled again, or whatever. Someone brought me, or not brought me, gave me some tools. They're kind of mixed in now, like that pry bar, that rusty ass set of aviation snips. Some of y'all know them as tin snips, metal scissors, whatever you want to call them. I call them aviation snips. That's what they were. And that stapler, which I hate them kind of staplers, but it was free, so I haven't had any luck with any of the electric staplers I've been buying at Walmart because they don't sell the good one, the Stanley, anymore. So I figure I'll see if I can't get that one to actually work. I never have any luck with them either. It's free, so. I need to disassemble that chair. It was abandoned here along with... I've had a fire every night since I've been here because people abandon so much shit. And I've been, like, leftover wood. Like, that's all perfectly fine. You know, the good pallets. It's a perfectly fine chair. I'm going to take apart and salvage the wooden dowels and everything. Make braces for that little thing, then paint it up. Yeah, make a handle for my file out of part of that. And just all kinds. Just save all the pretty wooden dowels because they're useful. I'm not going to burn most of that chair. The other one there, yeah, it's just a regular basic chair, the one I got all the nuts and bolts out of. That one's just pinned together, you know, you cut a slice, and then you stick a wooden wedge in there and all that stuff. That's old school built. There's a few screws in it, but mostly it's wooden pins bolted all together. It's an old school chair. It's really nice. That's why it looks so good. These modern chairs look like square shit. But yeah, and that's how I put my fire out when it's getting real windy and I want to go to bed and there's still like coals or a fire going. I just start pouring sand all over it. Neat little trick. Even if you got flames going, if you can smother it, just smother it with anything, really. Sand, just nothing flammable, really. Yeah, it works. Yeah, that guy that gave me the tools, he had that chair there. That's my stool I've already had. a mallet, which I don't usually need a mallet, but I did the other day. I actually needed the mallet when I was curling over this, because I didn't want to break, or it's aluminum and I didn't want to hit this and break it, so I used the mallet. Worked just fine. Well, I used the mallet to a point once I got it almost all the way, and then I had to like hold this and be very careful and bend it on all the way down with a regular ball peen. But yeah, oh yeah, and I found this was, he didn't give me this. This was just abandoned. Nothing wrong with it. It's missing the grate. Oh, but well, open. Damn ya, open says me. It might not be magic, but okay, it's just missing the grate. Nothing wrong with it. It's all sturdy. Nothing's rusted out. Legs ain't broke. None of that. Yeah, I figure I'll make a little. I don't know. It'll either go this way or probably this way with a bunch of holes in it. And then I'll put a hole in the bottom of it for it to breathe, because I don't like these little holes in the sides. And then I can just throw sticks, wood, whatever, you know, in here and burn it. And I'll probably end up cutting the top a little bit and putting a grate up here somewhere. Or a flat thing, something to cook on up here, so that I can just close it down, and then it's like a little wood stove and you can cook on it. I've done that many times with these old charcoal grills, except for I've never modified them like that. I usually just get a cheap $15 one or whatever from Walmart, dollar store, wherever, and just throw some wood in there. They already have the little grate at the bottom and the big grate at the top. Then you just throw some wood in there, light it on fire, put your skillet on top or your pot, and cook like with charcoal. It's no different. Clean it out afterwards. Now that technique, though, you know, you get ashes in your food. You have to be okay with that. And as long as you're just burning plain old regular wood, they're edible. The ashes ain't gonna kill you. You can put a top on them and prevent it too. But I'm gonna modify this one, since I've done that enough and I've kind of figured out what works best and stuff. I'm gonna modify this one to basically be a wood stove, but not to like burn in all the time. Because this is one of the better ones. It's a thick one. It's not like the thin ones you get from the dollar store, but I don't think. It could be from the dollar store. I don't know, you might know that brand. But it seems thick enough metal to use for like I used to, just to cook in, and then, you know, your fire's out, so you're not like keeping a fire in there all day and night, so it ain't gonna burn through anytime soon. You need to tighten up nuts and bolts and all that. But yeah, just a little thing to have since I got rid of the wood stove. Alright. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about all this. That's all.